Allow me to ask you a question, gentle strangers. Have you ever wondered why the early white Christian church didn't include the book of Enoch in the Bible? I mean, it is and was common knowledge the Israelites believed the book of Enoch was basically a part of their collection of holy writings. It was found within the Dead Sea Scroll and was quoted by those who are within the Bible. So why didn't they allow it in? I have a theory to the reason why. See, nothing is new under the sun. And just like the book of Maccabees tells us the Greeks tried to whitewash the images of the people in the Tanakh, the white Christian leaders were doing the exact same thing, but even deeper. Everybody should know that yes, the white man has added and deleted from the book we call the Bible. Get over it. All in an effort to mask who the true Israelites are, and more importantly, mask who they truly are. Though they would love to use the birth of Noah as a platform to say Yah and the angels was white, they knew a smart aleck nigger from the future would look at the story differently. Let me explain. When you read the birth of Noah in the book of Enoch, it says Noah was born with white skin and hair, with brilliant blue eyes. Surely if this was all to the story, we would hear about the book of Enoch and Noah just like we hear about the misinterpretations about King David being white. But we don't, do we? The reason is because what is written in the detail of the story. See, they understood the Greek makes it crystal clear that in the book of Jude, the term for habitation, archatorion, refers to their heavenly bodies from which they had to disrobe their covering so they could copulate with these fine black earth chicks. What am I talking about, you ask? Probably the first mama's baby's daddy's maybe situation. Enoch 105, 3 through 12. And you know my style, I'm going to skip. And when he was taken from the hand of the midwife, he's talking about Noah, opening also his mouth, he spoke unto the Lord of righteousness. Then Lamech, his father, was afraid of him, and flying away came unto his own father Methuselah, and said, I have begotten a son, unlike to other children. He is not a human, but resembling the offspring of the angels of heaven. He is a different nature from our being altogether unlike us. His eyes are bright as the rays of the sun. He had blue eyes. His countenance is glorious, and he looks not as if he belonged to me, but to the angels. We're going to keep going. And now, my father, hear me. For my son Lamech, a child has been born, who resembles not him, and whose nature is not like the nature of man. His color is whiter than snow. He is redder than the rose. His hair, the hair of his head is whiter than white wool. His eyes are like the rays of the sun. I'm going to keep going. His father Lamech feared and fled to me, believing not that the child belonged to him, but that he resembled the angels of heaven. Example. Do you guys see the obvious problems? 1. This proves all normal people on the earth had dark skin, eyes, and hair because Noah didn't look like anyone in his family or surroundings. Simply put, Noah was the first albino child. We know this is true because he continued to carry the parents' dominant DNA genes to pass on to his darker skinned Ham, Shem, and now scientists will admit, dark-skinned Japheth. But number 2 is what I like to call the big fig Newton. Did you guys notice who Lamech said Noah looked like? The fallen watchers and their children. I know the white man wants to say this proves the angels were white, but please understand, Lamech said Noah resembled the angels of heaven and not the angels in heaven, meaning the angels had already disrobed Archatorion and were in their fallen state upon the earth. These lines up perfectly and seamlessly with the Tanakh, genetics, and history's rendition of where white skin came from.
by checking the DNA of people living today, we find those with the same genetic markers. This map shows the distribution of men with a marker on their Y chromosome called M130. We can wind this film backwards and follow the migration route they took, which was the first complete one out of Africa around 60,000 years ago. That was the basis for the study conducted by Spencer Wells and others in 2000, which involved collecting DNA samples from indigenous people all over the world. Wells found distinctive genetic markers and traced each back to its source, marked here by red circles. We're retracing the migration paths our ancestors took backwards through time, and this is where they started, once again in Africa. Because the mutations happen at a fairly regular rate, these ancestral markers can even be dated, so the timescale on this map marks the progress of each migration. Populations that stay put and don't migrate will, of course, have a lot more of these genetic markers, so it's not surprising that we find the greatest genetic diversity in Africa. But the greatest of all belongs to a people whose ancestral homeland extended until recently from South Africa to the Rift Valley. Wherever you're from in the world, whatever mitochondrial or Y chromosome DNA markers you have, they have it too. They're called the San, or Bushmen, and according to the DNA evidence, they're the living ancestors of all modern humans.